Now we move on to our next speaker, Kaarmuhil, who is an environmental activist and author of the book For or Surreal to speak on political ecology of war from oil to critical minerals. And from here on, Kaarmuhil will take.
Yeah, hi. Good evening to everyone here. Actually, I'm not that much comfortable to speak in my convenience in English, so I will try to do what's my best. Then, yeah, thank you. Um, War. If generally war, we think about war, we only concentrate on the human rights violation, human loss, and economical loss. Those are very important things, I agree. But at the same time, we miss one important part. That is the environment violence happen because of the war. War is the one of the most worst thing happen all over the world in all the periods in the history, and it's it's one of the worst kind of thing happen in every time. Not only wars are inhumanable, but even small scale military operations can exploit the Earth's natural resources and cause irreversible damages. That's a true thing happens like that. Nowadays, war is not happen between two countries. It's happened globally because after the globalization and privatization, all of the world are joined to each and every like a web, like a spider web. If it's like Israel-Palestine war, Israel-Palestine war is not two countries war. The Middle East countries are support Palestine, and the Europe and US Western countries support the Israel. In the Ukraine, Russia war, the NATO is support the Ukraine, and Russia and the Russian alliance like China and South Korea, North Korea, those are supporting Russia. So nowadays all the wars happen like it impacts globally. It's not only war between two countries; it's between the same countries. Like now a civil war happens in Sudan. Like there's not enough civil wars happen in the country. At the time also, the most advanced countries like America or Russia, one is support to one group and another country supporting to the another group. This kind of things only happen all over the world in all the wars. That's a true thing happens. So in that, I will start with the Russia and Ukraine war. Russia and Ukraine war is not just a war between two countries. It's actually changed the whole, not whole, the Europe energy policy. Not only the Europe, including the whole world's energy policy. Because Russia is the major supplier of natural gas to the European countries like Germany, France, Italy, and other countries. It's a major source of uh, energy. But after the Israel and Ukraine war, it's not just like Israel and Ukraine. It's like a Europe Union with Russia. The war is like Europe Union with Russia. So the Europe Union countries want to independent in their own energy resources. But what the way they can do is very harmful for us because if they go for the energy source for the renewable, it's okay, good. But they are not only good like that. They also plan to do something more thermal energy and nuclear energy. In fact, in 2022 and 23, the whole European Union's thermal energy sector increased their production in the year of 2022 and 23. In Italy, Italy want to shut down their three thermal power plants in the year of 2022, but they will extend it till 2023. Now it's shut down, but if case anything happens, they start to reopen it. And also in the nuclear power plants, in nuclear power plants, all the countries start to do get new nuclear power plants like German and other countries in Italy, they are in policy wise, they want to close the nuclear power plant in their long term aim. But because of the energy self satisfaction, they will try to reopen in that time. In Italy, they will. It's still in a debate. We can use the nuclear or not. Nuclear energy is a very one of, it's not a green, it's like a green energy, but it's not only green energy. The most worst thing is the nuclear waste. We can't handle it. Still, we don't have any technology. So it's a very danger thing for the whole world. In Russian-Ukraine war, it's nearly 200 tons of carbon and other gases released in the Russia and Ukraine war. It's equal to one highest industrialist countries carbon emission or nearly 10 crore new cars carbon emission. It's equal to that. Now, and also that we want to speak about the Israel and Palestine. Both, it's a very you all know it's a very bad thing happens in that in that in the first 2 months of Gaza attack. How much the carbon is emission is happen is equal to the annual carbon climate vulnerable nations. The Guardian report says like it. Just 2 months of Israel, first 2 months of Gaza attack attacked by Israel. At the time, the emission is more than 20 vulnerable climate vulnerable countries overall emissions. This kind of things happen, and also we want to speak about. We all know IPCC, International Panel on Climate Change. It's come under UN Environmental Program. It says now we are in the very critical and most dangerous situation. We are going in the very wrong way. The climate change is not a climate change, it's climate collapse. Nowadays, the climate collapse is happened, it's not climate changing. We already crossed it. The UN Secretary says, Antonio Guterres says, we are going to the climate hill. That much of very worst things happen in the time. Lots of countries try to start to reduce their carbon emission. At this much of time, this kind of will, these wars are only based on the power and the economy. So it will destroy the agreements. In the last US election, and not this election, the last US election, climate change is one of the important topics. At the time, Joe Biden said lots of things for the climate change, work for climate and environment. Trump is always is the right thing, right in person. So he against it. He's not knowledge about it. So this kind of things can happen in US. Now it happens also in Europe also. In 2021 Germany election, climate change and environmental problem is the first priority. In that period, 33% of the people, their first priority is climate change and environment in the election manifesto. But in now 2025 January election, only 13% of the people is uh, primary thing is climate change and environment. Now the primary thing is migration is 37% and economy is 34%. So nowadays the world is going towards the extreme right. It's in the all of the countries, America, German, not Brazil, India, whoever, whatever. It's all going towards the extreme right. The extreme right not good for the people and it's not good for the environment and climate change, all the things. If we speak about the war, there is a five important things how the war is contribute to the climate change. The first thing is the reconstruction. Like what the whole Gaza is destroyed. There is nothing in Gaza. Okay, that's the thing. So we want to recreate the whole Gaza. Like Trump kind of person says, we want to we will we want to make it as a tourist spot because he is a real estate person. He thinks like that. The worst thing. So, but not out of that. We want to reconstruct the whole country, like Gaza, Ukraine, in this kind of person. So we want to use the reconstruction. For that, we want to use steel and concrete. Both are most greenhouse gas emitted things. In concrete, we want to make 1 ton of cement. It will release 1 ton of carbon dioxide in traditional factory. In construction industry, half of the carbon emissions happen for production of cement. And cement and steel industries are one of the most energy needed and greenhouse gas emitted industries. So it's a worst thing in that. And second is warfare. The warfare, so they are also emitting more carbon, I'd say, for everything. From the single bullet to all the things, all the carbon emission happens. And there is civil aviation. Like in Ukraine and Russia war, what the thing happens, the civil aviation is changed because the Ukraine is Russia war the flights going upwards the Ukraine and Russia are not going now in the upsides of Ukraine and Russia because of the war. So they will turn their route way. So they will travel more kilometers in the airways. So it also increase the carbon emission. And fourth is landscape fires. In Ukraine, is not only Ukraine or saying wherever the landscape fires are increased because of war, because of fires. The forest fires are increased because lots of the border areas are full covered by the forest generally. So in the time of the military activities happens in there, it's extremely reason for the forest fire. So it increased those kind of things. And another is energy. All the militaries use lots of energy for the consumption and the use. Not only they use energy, in the wartime, they will destroy the energy sectors of the neighboring countries. So those things, I'm not saying high amount of SO2, those kind of things are escaped, SF6, those kind of things are emitted. It's also one of the more dangerous things. In not only that, they will also affect the nuclear power plants. We all know at the time of Ukraine-Russia war, the Russian militaries go near to the Chernobyl. It's one of the biggest topic at the time. So always nuclear power plants are standing nuclear bombs in all the countries. So whenever the war is happens, it's danger for the nuclear power. If it's a nuclear power plant is attacked by this other country, it's one of the worst environment and ecological destroy thing in happen in those places, not temporarily, in permanently for the law for the hundreds and thousands of years, uncontrollably. Sometimes cyber attacks also happens in the wartime, in the nuclear power plants. Yeah, including Haribardi speak about the Kudangulam struggle. In 2018, the Kudangulam nuclear power plant, one cyber attack happens in 2019. Not only in Kudangulam, in lots of places it's happened. It's done by the government or sometimes done by the terrorist movements. Yeah. Now we speak about our India, Indian Union. Last year, this year, Indian Union spent 6,20,000 crores for the military in budget. It is 190 times higher than the environmental protection done by this country. And also, not single time, 190 times, 190 times higher than the environmental protection. They spent money in the defense. And not only that, it's 8 times higher than the education and health sector they will spend. If India is spent this much of money, 6,20,000 crores for the defense, so they have a one of fourth largest defense spending country and powerful country. But in Hungary index, it's in 105th rank. What is the worst thing? We will just think about it. Once we will use lots of money to the defense, on the other side, we not spend the money for the developing sector. It's one of the big problem. If how much we will spend for the military, it's reduced the amount we spend for the health, environment, education, this kind of things. It's not only affect the one country people, it's also affect the neighbor countries also. If you India is spent 6,20,000 crores, at the same time, Pakistan spent 2 lakh crores for its defense in that budget. You know, we all know Pakistan flood, one of the worst floods happens in the world. 30% of the total population in Pakistan is affected because of the flood. Still, they are not recovering that. But the government not spend money to the reconstruct of this. They will spend the money for the military. because India is spending money military. So why India is spending? India says China is spending high amount of money for the military. So if all the countries we will take in the world, they will say only this kind of things. We want to spend money is equivalent or higher than what the country think is enemy country. If so, they will get loans for this kind of things. It's not a good development kind of things. So it all affect the whole country's infrastructure development, all the things. It's not only for the Indian Union; it's for all the countries in trade war nowadays. In the oil to critical minerals, nowadays we know it's a trade war. Of it's the world is now in the hands of extreme right wing leaders. So whatever unexpected things that happen, no one will expect Trump will do 245 percentage of tax to China. No one is expected this kind of things. Anybody think about that? No, but it happens. So because of this, the trade war is also contribute for the climate change and environment. How it's like because of this much of high tax, China banned or restricted the critical minerals. China is the monopoly of the critical minerals production. So they will sorry, sorry, critical minerals. So they will stop the export of critical minerals to US. It's affect the US military production, not only military production. The ships and the uh, winds, lots of electrical things, it's affected. For that, US plan to do new minings and new things in their own country, in Texas and other places. It's also make a more environmental thing. In the critical minerals, China is the highest producer and is also have the highest capacity of critical minerals. The second is India. Second is Brazil. So first, if the China is not given to them, what they plan to do, they will get this kind of things from the from Brazil. Brazil is also in the hand of left wing as a right wing president. Nowadays, we will see for the COP, for the party, conference of party to reduce the carbon emission, they will design the forest for the roads. What's the circus kind of things happen in the Brazil? So if the US is second size is Brazil, they will also they will destroy the Amazon forest more than this, and they will get the critical minerals from the Brazil. So it's all interconnected, linked with one other countries to another countries. So what are the things we want to do? It's a collective effort we need. Not only the single country can change, save ours. All the countries in the only movies, the America save the world, but it's not happened wherever. So the our priority is the main thing. It's a visible thing. It's just say 1.5 degrees Celsius already we've reached in lots of worlds, all the places. No country is excluded that. You extreme forest fires in Europe, extreme heat waves in uh, uh, all the countries. Those kind of things happens in the world. So it's affect and killing crores of people, lakhs of people in visibly, but they will think about very mostly only think about the economy and other kind of things for the self and the egoistic things like Trump kind of things. So South Asian countries is one of the most vulnerable countries because of climate change, but they are not the reason for the climate change. So in there, we all know the uh, sorry, we all know about the common and a different the responsibility. The European Union is the reason for the climate change. So they want to spend more money to the vulnerable countries like South Asian countries or African countries to take care of the people from the climate change events. But because of this kind of wars, they will stop this fund. Actually, the fund is already very low. It's one of the debate. But because of this kind of wars, they will stop those kind of funds. So it's also affect the vulnerable countries more. So not for what we will do is in today environment where we need to think about even the smallest opportunities to confront the climate crisis. But in the name of national security, we destroy the environment. That's the thing happen. So all the countries to spend together and they will peacefully close all their things. It's a possible thing. It's not a possible thing. But we don't have that much of leaders. I will finish in 2 minutes. We don't have that much of leaders like Nehru. In Nehru will make a non-alignment movements for the world peace. But after that, nowadays we don't have this much kind of leaders in the world. All the person want their own pride, their own nationality. They will think other countries as enemy countries, this kind of thing. So the people to work together, we will give the push to our governments to make all the things peace and take care of their own people and energy. Because lots of energy only used for the destroying things. But we have a knife in our head, climate change, climate collapse. So the government is thinking about that. Actually, I want to say only one thing. In world carbon emission, highly happened because of not only wars in the armies also. It's a, not what war happened. The army is still standing. It's also one of the most carbon emitting things. The largest employer in the 2024 is NAS, Tesla, Amazon, or Indian Railways. Not those kind of. The top three employers are the first is Ministry of Defense, India. Second, Department of Defense, USA. Third, People's Liberated Army, China. So now we will spend more of our energy in this things. But we want to speak and we will do all the things together to make peaceful way. Because without peaceful way, no one is safe because climate change is affect all of us. So no one is safe in the climate change. So together we will fight for it. Yeah. Thank you.